Nuclear missile ready. Nuclear missile ready.
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting rendition of the Alpha Pro Series Cup. Today, we have another great one for you as it is Battle of the USA in Skyler versus Starkiller. So, we're actually just going to get into this lobby right about now because, quite frankly, we don't want you guys waiting around to see this amazing series start up. Starkiller, very prominent in these kind of cups. He's a very big land guy. And Skyler, I'm very interested to see what he's going to pull out here because I'm not too familiar with his playstyle. But overall, we got 9 games for you, and it is going to go great. Just got to make sure the boys are ready to go. But yeah, as you all are aware, these kind of cups are not possible without the amazing support that you guys have given the community. So let's keep that support going. We've got the alpha. We have the we have the code in the top. It should be updated as well as our wonderful sponsors, and yeah, we should be good to go here. But yes, tonight it is a full best of 9. Every match is going to be played, and every map is going to be earning a little bit more. It's about maybe $6 to $7 per. And here we go. I get to choose the first map, and I have chosen one of the new ones, Zen Ladder Edition. Quite a nice calm start to our night here, as this is going to be a very long, very epic series. These guys are out for blood, and I am sure that they are going to do everything they can to give you guys quite the show in this TVZ. So without further ado, let's pull in our players. Spawning up here in the top position, it is Skyler. And his opponent, down here in the bottom, it's Starkiller. Getting a little bit of stuttering on my screen. Are you guys... Yeah, it looks like you guys are seeing it too, so I'm going to close out the stream. So, what are we going to have in this series? We're going to have a lot of epic games as this is the brand new map pool, so players are still working to figure out kind of the nuances of each map in such a way that they can get some very good, effective tools in their arsenal. Now, we just saw one of the big tools about Zen is that is actually a 1-inch gap between the mineral lines here, and you have a second one right here, meaning moving main armies down the middle is very difficult. So overall, one big thing you have to do is remember that and maybe start to send some workers down there in the mid game to kind of mine things out. And yeah, other than that, it's a pretty large map, a lot of open space here, so that will help out in those larger engagements. But still getting a little bit of stuttering. Feels like the players are not feeling it, so we're okay for right now. But these Lings actually do get in here. Starkiller went for a very aggressive pull. And actually has to be careful not to lose the Reaper. It's very close, but he will be able to clean that up. And now these Lings, still a bit of a nuisance here. And you can see Skyler's already reacted a little bit by placing his second CC in the main base location. So, yeah, overall, he does survive that. He did lose a couple of workers, I believe. So, overall, that was a very good trade here for Starkiller to start off this series. This Reaper's going to come in. He's not really going to see too much, just the kind of standard things you would expect from a Zerg. Um, but overall, these guys have pretty much transitioned here into the early mid game, and we shouldn't really be seeing too much more from them right now, as they're still going to be kind of finding their legs in this first game and then moving on into the next. Still interested to see what Skyler is pumping up here. It does look like he's going to be going for battle cruisers for the time being. Obviously, remember, with this new patch, you also have a great deal of different things that you can get out of that fusion core, so it's not purely battle cruiser. I actually think that one of the things you can do is get speed for your medevacs, which I actually saw earlier today in a water stream, which was pretty fun because it allowed him to escape really the corruptors of the later stages. And yeah, you also have Lib Range heading on down there. So there's a lot more options. If you see a fusion core, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be battle cruiser every time anymore. Although this time it is going to be pure battle cruiser, as we have got that heading on in. And behind this, it does look like Starkiller is just kind of powering up here. He's got his lair at a roughly even timing. He's got a couple of spores here. He did see that it was Cloak because Skyler tried to sell it. He started Cloak on the tech lab and then canceled it. But then, I mean, he's got to react a little bit differently. You can see he does have plenty of queens on one of his bases, but yeah, overall, one battlecruiser. We'll have to see if the changes really affect it, as will be more than likely be teleporting across the map. And yeah, there you could kind of see that it does now have a cooldown, so you have to be much more careful with them. Behind this, he is going to be gearing up for mech, and looks like he's just going to secure his natural base location. Actually, might I even get a queen here? That's a very nice little pickup. Delays the injects for a little bit. It's an overlord as well. Always nice to just get a little bit of damage, and he does actually be very conservative with it, as he does get on out of there. The Hellions as well, just kind of gearing up. He wants to send those across the map at roughly the similar time, as you want to kind of pull your opponent apart a little bit here, but unfortunately, he does get caught out of position. So the battle cruiser are going to come back in here and will actually get on out. Obviously, you can't wait till the last second anymore, so he just wanted to be a little bit more conservative with it. Behind this, he's got one more one more battle cruiser, and behind all of this, he's just got a very nice standard mech army. It's not going to be battle mech, as he does not really need it at this point. But Corruptors will be on the way, and as he tries to take his third base location, it's going to get shut down for a little bit as this battlecruiser will start to push it away. However, these guys don't really do too much damage versus it. Overall, Starkiller does get out there with the majority of his forces, and he's got the Corruptors on the way as well, so he should feel perfectly safe for the time being. I'll have to see at what point he starts to kind of go into the defensive mech build here as Starkiller. Right now, he is in a decent position as he gets his fourth base up and running. He's starting to get to that very healthy worker count. Actually might lose the battlecruiser, just barely dies. That is unfortunate as that is a very big mineral investment. And look at this, the Corruptors gonna go unchallenged as there are no missile turrets, there are no cyclones, there is absolutely nothing to deal with this, so the third base is gonna die. I don't think Starkiller has enough to kind of break this position, but since there are two locations, you can kind of just jump around a little bit. The BC gonna be coming in here trying to get a little bit more damage, does get a queen and a couple of drones, but Starkiller does pick that off as well. Starkiller's just been on the offensive here for quite a bit of time. Now he's starting to back off a little bit as he needs to clean up the Hellions. They're actually not getting too much done here. Now that they've morphed into Hellbats, they should be able to do a lot more here. But actually, before they get too much done, they're cleaned up. Starkiller did pull back from the attack, however, so it does look like Skyler will be able to reinforce his fourth base location, and he has quite a bit of units to do so. Magfield Accelerator still not complete because he did go for a lot of tanks beforehand. He's still pumping out battle cruisers, which I don't really think that's the best option here. As we do have a very healthy corruptor count, Hive will be on the way here in about half the time it takes for a Hive, and yeah, overall, you're just not really going to get too much done with that. And look at that, he was looking for three base production, or not three base production, but three starport production of it. Even going to sack some corruptors here to kill that off. Ooh, but he might lose a few of these corruptors in the meantime. Looks like that battlecruiser will go down, however, two of the starports as well. That is seriously going to limit the ability of Skyler to pump out what he wants. And yeah, behind all of this, it looks like Starkiller is going to just gear up for a couple more attacks. Skyler's still kind of stuck on his three base economy here as his fourth base is going to get taken out as well. The Corruptors going to be shooting on that the entire way through. Hive is complete, so these Lings are about to get a whole lot better, as well as a huge pickoff there of a lot of those Cyclones, meaning there is absolutely nothing that can really stop these Corruptors other than a missile turret. The ground army, however, did get cleaned up, so he will have to back off in that aspect. But 19 workers going down. Currently has half the income value. If you can take a look there, Starkiller is just running away with this game a little bit. Skyler still has to be pretty careful here. One thing we haven't really seen either is the use of this fourth base location or this third base location. Quite frankly, it could be either both. all it would take is mining out these 2 minerals, so that's going to be interesting to see if we do come back to this later in the series. But I think that would be a very okay-ish option, especially if like if you see Starkiller has taken it already. And it looks like Skyler will be bumping up, but just looking at the supply a bit here. Looks like Starkiller is still quite ahead in that regard. Still kind of waiting for them to kind of open up these rocks here. But here we go, the Banelings do come in. None of the tanks are actually sieged, sieged rather. So they're actually going to start getting taken out here. Those adrenal glands lings are doing wonders as the main base is going to be absolutely ravaged. Yeah, look at these. Starkiller is pretty much just doing death by 1,000 cuts here. As the economy dies, he does clean it up, but unfortunately he is going to go back to the main base with one of his extra CCs. And overall, at this point, Starkiller can easily just keep the aggression up. He never has to go home anymore. Those sea shanks have begun to be a liability, and while the Thors are pretty nice, you have to keep them surrounded with the Hellions or the Hellbats, otherwise you're going to be in a world of hurt when these Broodlords, or when the Lings come in for the surround here. He's got a great position right now, but again, those siege tanks are going to be a bit of a liability here. Hellions actually taking out a lot of the Lings beforehand, but the Thor count is starting to falter. There is only one Thor left at this position, and Starkiller is just getting as many Lings as possible and completing the game as he sees fit. Now, in regards to the stuttering a little bit, I'm going to see if I can maybe turn down some of the settings. Okay, so we're going to restart the game real fast. And yeah, I just lower the settings a little bit, see if that kind of helps out a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying so far, as we still have quite a bit of great StarCraft left for you today. And he is saying choose the map, so let us see. Alright, so we're gonna hop on to Triton for our next map. Now Triton is a pretty fun map. I enjoy Triton. Came into us from the last season. It's making an impression. Got a lot of high ground. You got obviously that Zelnaga watchtower, which can be the most annoying thing if you do not control. And looks like we got these guys in the money. As we're gonna hop into Triton for game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, an excellent first game here. We kind of saw how these guys are gonna play it out. They've got quite a bit of time for it. As we're gonna be hopping into game number 2, spawning. In the bottom position, it is Skyler. His opponent up here in the top, Starkiller. And it looks like we already have some cheeky shenanigans coming on up. Skyler gonna be hiding, it looks like, in 2 different locations. So we'll have to see if it is going to be that 2 racks or if he might actually be going for a racks factory all in. But so far, it does look like we're going to see 1 racks go down. The second one should be following up. And remember, this is not a full... I lied. I was about to say this was not a full-on committal because it was only 2 racks. However, that third SCV does tell me that he's going to be going pretty much all in with this. As we have Starkiller going for that spawning pool first, which is very lucky for him. It means he will more than likely have units out to defend against this. Now, the location is pretty nice as well because, as you can see, it will be a bit before that Overlord scouts this position. And look at that! He's even going to add a 4th racks onto this, so he really wants to end this game quickly here. The question is, will he be able to? So far, he's got the 2 racks complete, and that will be enough to deal with this first Overlord. And that is actually a fantastic pickup in the first place because it will supply block his opponent a little bit here. But Starkiller now has wind of the situation. He's already got the Roach Warren on the way. So he must have smelt some blood in the water. And look at that. The first SCV does go down, leaving Starkiller to be able to clean up this bunker. He's going to pull a couple of the drones as well. They're actually going to get taken out very quickly. This 4 racks is very difficult to hold. He's got the roaches on the way, however. That bunker still needs to be complete here, but it does look like for the time being, Starkiller did kind of give up this base, but now he's going to fight for it a little bit more. I don't really like that decision now that he actually did finish the bunker. So right now, all you gotta do is survive here as Starkiller. You can really kind of afford this base going down, as since your opponent is only on 1 base during all this, it's not really going to make a huge difference. But look at this, trying to pick off the Ravagers, gets them pretty low. With these Marines starting to fall quite quickly, the Ravagers do nice bits of DPS during this. Just have to keep them alive. I really like this. He pushed with the dying base. Obviously those larvae doing some work on and distracting the Marines. So now he's able to push it on back. Starkiller, though, is a little bit supply block here, and that is still quite a few Marines that he needs to chase down. He should feel quite confident enough to just kind of take out these racks, because if he does not, he's going to have some trouble here. And look at that, the Marines actually fighting in the hidden zone might actually clean up Starkiller here. No, just Barely one roach survives that. A couple of Marines as well going to chase that down. But now these racks do need to get on home, as Skyler has started his gas. So it will be a couple of minutes, and then he will be able to throw down potentially his factory and kind of just try and transition out of this. Starkiller, though, did take quite a bit of damage during all of this. 7 workers going down, losing that base. You know, he's not in a great way, but there's also nothing at home to defend here for Skyler. So that Ravager going to be able to do quite a lot, as it will force those SCVs to not be repairing as well as he would like. He just needs to buy time here. But I don't think time is what he will have. That supply depot is his last bastion of hope. And it will fall the meager forces of Starkiller getting into the base. Factory not going to be completed here. It's going to be delayed quite heavily. And the rest of the roaches swarm on in. It's looking like this might be the end of Skyler in game number 2. He's trying to block off and just build whatever he can, but he knows the writing is on the wall. Starkiller will finish up this game. An excellent game number 2 here. Starkiller taking a very commanding lead. As we wait for the next map, but you can kind of see here. You can kind of see here, Starkiller, a very aggressive player, and it's really helping him out. In the first game, you know, he got that early damage done, really pulled Skyler back, and he was never able to really kind of counter the damage being done. And then in the game number 2, it saved him because he was able to stop that bunker from getting up, bought him a lot of time. And we'll be hopping into game number 3 on Eternal Empire. Got a lot of expansions which are very easy to secure. First 3 bases will have those small choice that will help out with the early attacks. And yeah, as the time goes on, we'll have to see how they really work on around this map, because it is one of the new ones. I know you guys want to see them. So here we go. Eternal Empire map number 3. Starkiller up 2-0. Grass is green, sky is blue, and turkeys are delicious. And speaking of delicious, up here we have the delicious Terran race. Up here in the top corner, it is Skyler. And his opponent, as you guys know, they're always down for a barbecue. It's our Zerg player, Starkiller. Now the question is, will Starkiller continue on with his early aggression plays here? So far, it does look like we're going to see a second hatchery out of him first. He might feel a bit more comfortable as these bases are a little bit easier to secure. So he might just use that as an opportunity to expand more aggressively and move on to later stages with a very strong, very healthy economy. On that, Skyler has quite a few options at his disposal. Like we said, those bases are very easy to kind of secure. You can see the third base location can be cut off, and we do have the rocks here making a very solid choke point at the natural. So overall, he will be able to kind of go for these bases a bit earlier himself. And as you guys kind of know, a three base Terran is very scary in the mid game because they can just rally out units very fast, very effectively, and just do massive amounts of damage across the map. No shenanigans here. We're just going to see pretty easy stuff here as we see the local fauna about to get caught up in the blind side. And you know, this game must be an environmentalist's worst nightmare because you have all these beautiful locations, just a massive amounts of natural fauna and some really cool animals and wildlife. And just during the middle of it all, you got this really bad purple creep, which absolutely steals all the nutrients and kills off all of the wildlife. It's kind of like the Lorax, if you remember that book from your childhood. You know, this guy is the Lorax right now. He's speaking for the trees, but he's using his guns instead of his words. But unfortunately, his message was caught by this guy. I can't really call him the Onceler because it's a girl, so it's like the Oncelee. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but Skyler gonna be going for a 2-1-1 here, which is very powerful, very difficult to hold here unless you can get a good scout off of it. Looks like so far Starkiller actually gonna get just that. He sees the double racks, and now he needs to react. He's gonna need a few more queens. He's gonna need banelings, and he's going to just need a way to make sure that the first push, the most important push, does not get any damage done. Now, one thing I'd like to say as well, he's only on 2 bases. While that makes it a little bit easier to defend, it does mean he's going to have a little bit of trouble here with larva production, as he will need to really stay on top of his larva. Look at that. This is actually going to be even worse than I thought for Starkiller, as this... he doesn't really have a lot to defend against this. Yeah, look at that. Even throwing down a Spore Crawler to deal with it. The addition of the Hellions is going to make those Zerglings very, very dead, is what I'm trying to say. And he can kind of scout out that there is no third base, so he must be feeling very confident in himself right now. Looks like we're about to hit as well. That armory is about halfway done. Once that completes, these guys can morph into the very scary Hellbats. Even gonna get a nice pick off on an Overlord. And a lot of Lings actually going down here. The army of Starkiller is looking very poor right now. And speaking of army, I think that this is his army. This is literally all he has right now. He's gonna have to hold on for those Mulisks, but again, those Mulisks just can't fight straight up with this amount of Marines. Oh, this is not looking good here. He's gonna have to hold the line, as Skyler is gonna be trickling his way across the map. And look at that, the Mutas just starting to fall quite rapidly. Actually going to clean up a lot of the Marines here, but the reinforcements, I think, will be able to finish things off, as he did lose a lot of the Mutalisks here. So the Hellbats going to reign supreme and get straight into the natural. Starkiller, to his credit, though, is not tapped out just yet. He is picking off reinforcements where he can, but he still needs to clean up this natural base. Finally, that goes down, and Skyler needs to back on out. So overall, not the worst defense here from Starkiller, although he did lose a lot of Mutalisks very early on. No third base, by the way, for either player, and as I say, that Starkiller does have his third base going down. But he is on the warpath right now. He wants to break this position before Skyler can get that heavy count of units up again. Actually just going to go straight for the Marines here. They need to dive for cover. The Widow Mine's going to be nice if they can get a pick off here. Needs to be careful not to get too close, and he's almost made it to the main base. But the mines will reposition as the Hellions go down. These Mulisks going to pick off what they can, going straight for it looks like combat shields. And combat shields will actually be denied. So what started as a very powerful push here from Skyler has started to skyrocket into Starkiller's favor. I think these mines, however, they do a good job here as they've killed 7 Zerglings between them. This will actually supply block Skyler as well. So basically what Skyler needs to do right now is kind of just stay back and really pump his economy up as high as it can go. It does look like he was searching for a 2-base all-in, so whether we see him throw down a reactionary third base is still yet to be seen. But behind all this, Starkiller's just getting very nicely ahead. But look at the Widow Mines. So close here. You have to be very careful with the Mutalisks. Going straight for the Liberator production. Gonna slow that down significantly. Now that Widow Mine count is up, he should start placing those around the map. But the Mutalisk count is starting to get quite large. Got +1 attack on the way for him. +1 and +1 for his Lings and Banes as well. And really, he's just pinned Skyler in. Skyler, though, is not going down without a fight. He still has quite a bit here. He just needs to be careful with those Mutalisks. You can get rid of this Mutaball. You can do quite well. And especially, the fact is, they are not going to be as good as this army come push time. They're not very good versus Marines with equal upgrades. And yeah, you know, a couple good spreads, and these Mutas would absolutely die to all of this. He's being very patient. He does not want to blow a stim. Straight for the Liberator, not going to get it. It's close though. I don't know how effective that Liberator will be in battle. Skyler's going to move across, and as you can see, those Mutalisks just taking massive damage. Skyler has quite a huge army right now, and this is the kind of push you'd love to see as Terran. He's just got to be careful not to get hit by those Banelings, and he should put the Zerg into a world of hurt. I thought that was a run by for a second there, but it is not. And oh no, this almost looked bad here. It looked like he was caught in the corner. But the Hellbats are going down, and actually these Marines starting to get stutter step backwards. He needs those Widow Mines to burrow to stop the bleeding here. Great pulls here from the Starkiller, but he still loses all of the Lings. Still has quite a big army, however. He needs to just regroup a little bit, it looks like. He actually might be going for something a little cheeky, as he does have Burrow on the way. I think this is a really nice map for Burrow because you do have so many different choke points that you can place him. You know, one thing as well, there's absolutely no creep spread here for Starkiller. And I really don't like that for the Zerg player, just because it's really difficult to see where these pushes are going to be coming from. And it makes it so much more difficult to get into position for them. Skyler has stemmed up quite a bit. If these Banelings so much as even get a lick on you, it's going to be very deadly. But Starkiller does wisely back up. finally see that third base going down, kind of out of necessity here of Skyler, as he must start to be running out of minerals at 2 base locations. Doesn't even have +2, so everything is very delayed for our Terran player. And he's starting to lose quite a bit of these guys to the Banes, and that is actually just going to be it. Starkiller steamrolls again. An excellent game number 3 here, really cementing his lead in this series. I think he's just going to tell me to make a map, so we are going to move on to Nightshade. I'd like to remind you guys of our fantastic sponsors today. First one, our big one, 24-hour fitness. Whether you're just looking for a good beach bod or you're trying to become the best you. Sorry, hang on. Okay, so whether you're trying to get the best beach bod you can or just become the best you, 24-hour fitness has plenty of programs to help you become that. So check them out at the Matcherino page, and yeah, they're doing awesome stuff for the scene. Now 1 second, guys, I've got to respond to this, and I can't exit the game for it anymore. But I digress. Let's get right back into it, ladies and gentlemen. And we won't even have time for intros this time because we do have Skyler being on out. Oh. Oh. Looks like it's going to be a standard. Looks like it's going to be a standard 2 racks cheese. Sorry guys, I had to respond to something. But yeah, Skyler doing pretty standard stuff here. It does look like it's going to be Reapers this time around. And looks like you actually have this location right here for our Reapers to jump up. I don't know if that's an actual ledge, as sometimes they put words, I swear. I apologize, guys. My words are terrible today. I'm too busy thinking about Thanksgiving tomorrow because I've got like a billion things to cook. But yeah, sometimes map makers put false positives for where their maps are supposed to be. And actually, Starkiller does get a good wind, or Skyler does get good wind of this coming on down. The Reapers will be able to kind of move around unfazed here. The wall is complete at home, so I don't know if Starkiller will be able to get any damage done here. If he can get that SCV, that would be wonderful, because you cannot repair that supply depot anymore. But this has forced the Reaper to go on home. And already this is kind of decent, because this kind of cheese already is very low economy here for Skyler, so losing 3 SCVs this early on is very painful. He does get in, however. Unfortunately, it is not enough. Looks like Starkiller's looking to take the time he has bought and just close up some gaps with his defense, getting that location firmly under creep. And getting quite a few queens to deal with this as well. I really like this. A lot of players will go for roaches in this situation, but unfortunately roaches can lose their credibility a lot later on in the game. So sticking with Ling Hydra, or yeah, just Lings and Queens to defend against this, you really set yourself up for a powerful mid game because you can transition much easier than if you're stuck with very lanky, very difficult to deal damage roaches. Looks like the Reapers have stopped flowing at 5, so they're gonna be more a nuisance than anything. Doesn't look like they're gonna be able to clean anything else up. But they're it's really just nice to get that kind of map presence here. Unfortunately, I don't know. Okay, yeah, he does manage to get on out of there, and he's found a really nice position for it as well. Looks like all those Reapers will start to go down. Really nice pickup here. They're doing what they can, but unfortunately they are not beyond this time around. And even if it was beyond, I don't think it would work out too well because Zergs have figured out how to deal with Reapers a long time ago. That is why you don't see too many 3-racks Reapers in TVZ anymore. Skyler not paying attention for the latest second. That is actually going to be it. He saw the writing on the wall before those guys even got in. That was that was crazy. But an excellent game number 4. And yeah, just a little bit of unluckiness there. As we still have a couple games left before we actually cycle through. But so far, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. What a great way to start up the Thanksgiving Day weekend. Just gonna see what these guys want. Looks like Skyler actually got into a game by himself. So we're just gonna let him come on back in. And you know what? While we're waiting, you can check out our sponsor, Matcherino. If you go up in the description, I don't know which way I'm pointing. It's this way. The chat. You can check out that link, which will give you a code, and with that code, you will add a little bit of cash to the prize pool. So everything you do will add a little bit of prize pool. If you check out all of our different sponsors, each one has something you can do to add just a little bit extra to these guys and make it a little bit more. Because remember, we are doing all 9 games in this series. With all 9 games, means that each win after 5 is just strictly for prize pool purposes. So Skyler's still in a game. So I can't actually get him on out. Looks like starkiller needs to head out for a second as well, just to make sure. So, hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. We put on these series for you guys, and it is amazing to see all these different players in StarCraft just bringing out their best traits. Like overall, this is just an incredible series of games so far. Even though it looks kind of one-sided, Skyler has been doing some very good moves, and they're the kind of moves that you should be doing in your own ladder games. Regarding his positioning, his timing attacks, they're all good things to learn from, and I am very excited to see what he does for the remainder of these games. Just checking out what's in the universe. But here we go once again. We're going to be hopping into World of Sleepers for map number 5. Now, I really like World of Sleepers. No, it's one of those maps that's kind of resonating with me. And there we go. Now you can stop listening to me jaw jack here as we have the game going on. I'm gonna hop right into it. Like I said, this is gonna be World of Sleepers. Quite a fun and interesting map. And I hope you guys enjoy it because I know these guys are gonna bring you back to reality. Spawning up here in the top, it is ya boy, Skyler. As opponent down here, he's bringing the power of the swarm, but that doesn't mean he's got no chill. It's Starkiller. So it does look like this time Starkiller is going to be a bit cheeky here. I'll have to see which side of the mineral line he's going to go for, as it looks like we might be seeing a proxy hatch come on down. Be very interesting to see, as so far we do not see anything else. But here we go. Starkiller going to be looking to close out the best of 9 portion and move right on in with the victory to complete the series. Looks like the stuttering has stopped as well, so I am very glad for that. See, it's like dial-up internet, you know. It has to warm up a little bit. You can't answer the phone. You can't answer the phone, but then once you answer the phone, it goes back to normal. Once you hang up the phone, it goes right back on the normal. But yeah, looks like Skyler has seen the unwelcome intruder in his base. He's just going to wall off. And this is very smart here. He's still got the CC on the way. It's very important that you do not forget that as the Terran player when you're getting cheese like this, because while this base may finish, it's usually not going to be a full-on all-in, and you still going to need that second CC. later in the later stages of the game. But remember now, he did not get his spawning pool until very recently, so these lings not actually out yet. He is waiting for that hatchery to pop or something. The queen as well before anything else, so I'm kind of wondering when he's going to get some sort of supporting unit. Roaches maybe, but no, there we go. We finally got the lings on the way. And that queen will be nice for spreading creep as well. Yeah, there we go. She's just going to hide a little creep tumor in the corner here, make it impossible to expand. So now, Skyler, all he really needs to do is defend this location for the time being. He'll be able to get rid of that hatchery soon, but if you overextend, then you're going to be in a world of trouble here. They're going to get a good read on when that base goes down. Look at this, Skyler. He's very aggressive here. Now that the Hellions are out, he has the ability to take down those Zerglings. But there is still 2 base production back at home, so Starkiller will not be losing all of his units for quite a bit of time. With that Hellion count, however, I really like this. Rather than trying to really force the issue as Starkiller, he is instead going to go for a big attack and hope to catch his opponent off guard with that. As he has landed his second natural, he just needs to really pick off these mineral fields. But he will clean this all up. He's got the armory on the way. We're going to see something very similar to game number 1, I believe it was, on Zen. And yeah, it's going to be very fun to see that as it's like one more notch as Lings is going to be taken on out. Fortunately, that second CC not too long for this world. The Mule only about half of its light span. And luckily for him, he did not actually finish that wall off with this. I love Star's move as well. Going to be going into the Mutas, similar to game number 1 as well. Really makes it difficult for these Hellions to get out and be out on the map. And look at that. Beautifully placed Spore Crawler, Creep Tumors here. Just so that you can't get all of them in one, as I say that, he did get all 3 of them in one scan. So I'm not going to say that anymore. Starkiller not going to end the aggression just yet. He's still preparing for that Muta transition. He's got plenty of resources for it. But once this base has moved on out, he's just going to go right back in again and force Skyler to come home. Right now it does look like Skyler a bit hesitant out on the map. But once again, the wall not down, so a lot of SCVs actually going to start to fall here. This is not good at all. This push is pretty much all Skyler has at this point, and there is absolutely nothing at home to defend. The Mutas are about to pop. Wow, that is a lot of Hellbats. Ooh, losing the Mutas before they can actually group up is very painful as well. Looks like Starkiller is going to be the first one to blink and go on home. They're losing quite a bit. The Mutas still falling. 22 drones going down during all of this. Still, I think he will just barely be able to clean up the Marines, and that is the important part of this push, because now the Mutalisks will be able to start cleaning this up, although I do love this move. He's going to go for as many drones as possible, and it looks like Starkiller's economy is going to be in absolute tatters right now, as these Mutalisks are nowhere near big enough numbers to clean this up quickly. Excellent move out of Skyler, really cementing himself in this game. Now Starkiller really needs to just back up and drone up behind all of this. The question is, will Skyler give him the time needed? It does not look like it. He has a very large army, very scary to deal with, especially with only pure Mutalisks. And even though he's still only on one base, he has more production really than Starkiller can afford right now. One big difference between this game and game number 1, there's no Banelings. Absolutely none. So Starkiller is going to have to really just focus on picking off the reinforcements and delaying this push for as long as possible. I do not envy him at this point, but I do love this push as a Terran player. He's just so aggressive and actually going to get all of these overlords. Wow. If he can get them all, that's going to be a big supply block. More things on the way. The mule is finally going to be pulled on home. He's going to need to pull everything to defend against this, but he's already let those Marines get into a fantastic position. And I think this might be the death of Starkiller, and Skyler is going to be probably pushing himself forward in this series as he's got the next big wave coming on in. Look at this. There are more medevacs in this push than there are Marines. And that is just making them so impossible to deal with. Muta's not able to clean up. Scan going down. He's going to go straight for the natural once again. Picks off the Mutalisks. And GG is called. It is 4-1. The comeback is on the way. I am loving it. That was a very good reaction, by the way. And like I said, once he got that second base back up, he was able to just pump out the units. And that's one of the big things you got to remember. As a Zerg player, you have to be careful about the follow-up. The Terran player did fantastic in that he never let Starkiller get back into it. The second you let up on that kind of attack is the second it's going to start to snowball in the Zerg's favor. Now, this one, it's Semicron, and it really builds itself as a map that's normal, which is pretty interesting, you know, kind of to advertise your map. Saying like, oh, it's the most normal map you can get. Interesting. Okay, and what are you going to do about it? But anyway, talking about the players spawning up here in the top position, it's Skyler. Taking his first map of the day, and hopefully many more, because each one gives him money. And spawning down here, already a few games up. Let's see if he can keep it up. Starkiller. Looks like no cheeky shenanigans this time, although Starkiller did go for a very fast spawning pool. And, you know, this is a rather large map, it looks like. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see that, as those Lings are going to have to move quite a big distance away. We'll have to see how hard he commits to this. Looks like not that hard at all. I see we'll be going for that second hatch. Just has to be careful as well, because if the Reaper catches you at any point during their journey, they are going to be DED Pepsi'd. Yeah, there we go. They're just going to split up and look for clues here. Clues of where that Reaper is. Problem is that Reaper will be out in actually the perfect time. You don't want to go in just yet as Starkiller, because if you do, that Reaper will just get on top of everything. But I knew it. He had a little inkling that this was going to be happening, is Skyler. And look at that, he's already had his command center on the high ground. I'm loving that. He kind of knew that this was coming. So what does this mean for him? Oh, obviously, what do you think? It's going to be a 2-on-1. Once again, he's going to try and levy some good damage against Starkiller, who did invest a little bit in the early game to deal with this. Does mean that his drone count is a little bit lower than he would really want at this point, but you know, he's Zerg, he's got the queens out for the larva. He will be able to bounce back in that regard pretty dang quickly. The question is, will he know that this is 2-1-1 before it's too late here? Because 2-1-1, if you do scout it out, it is a lot less effective because it gives you plenty of time to prepare. And as we can kind of see here, he did not see that second Rax because he was afraid of losing the Overlord. Remember, they don't have that speed buff anymore early on, so it's a lot more difficult to get that information. He does not want to just sacrifice an Overlord for nothing anymore. So already we've kind of seen some small things happen in this series with regards to the balance change. First game, we saw the battlecruiser try and get away, and unfortunately was killed off by the corruptors. And you know, now we're seeing these overlords, you know, making the Zerg player a little bit more blind. Still very interested to see what's going on here, as look at that very nice move. He just really wanted that overlord, keeping it off that position. And you know what? We do have actually only 2 bases. He is completely walling himself off, and he's got a lair on the way. He's got all 4 gases as well. One sec, guys. So yeah, as I was saying, he's going for roaches. And this is very scary because roaches do not scale well versus bio. But what I'm wondering is if he is going to get into this location right here. Remember, it's a new map. You might not know all the nuances of it just yet as the Terran player. The Queen's in the front line, gonna be defending all this. Skyler does see what's going on, however, because he sees that there is no third base, and he knows what that probably means in the back of his mind. He's already starting that concussive shell research. Overall, though, I do think he will be okay-ish. You know, Starkiller just went for a bit of a later third expansion to pump out these roaches, now that he's kind of been figured out. You know, he has quite a bit at home with Stim. I don't think they have combat shields just yet. No, they do not. So these roaches, really, the longer they kind of sit around, the longer it's really going to be for them, or the worse it's going to be for them to get damage done. They will be speedy boys here in a couple of seconds, though, and just watch them fly when that happens. The Hellions, however, getting a couple of shots off on him, which is really nice. You always like to see that as the Terran player. It just kind of delays this push for as long as possible. Yeah, that is quite a lot. And he's actually just going to clean this up quite handily here. Might even be able to just chase this back with Stim. Has to be careful with how much he stims, as He does not have the medevacs out just yet. So now the important thing is, since he has decided to stay on Roach Tech, he needs to keep that upgrade lead for as long as possible. That is the only way these guys are going to survive long enough to deal with these guys. I would like to see a transition soon, however, out of Starkiller. I don't think it's going to be great for him if he just goes up to 200 supply roaches. Maybe add in, you know, maybe add in some infestors here pretty soon. Drop down that infestation pit. It'd be pretty nice here, especially since looks like Skyler's going to be moving across the map with his entire force. Oh my goodness, the boys have been pulled as well. Are we watching a Minx co-op commander game? Trying to fight down the ramp, that's not the best idea. Force your opponent to come up to you. A huge concave here is that the SCVs are actually in the back line, so the Marines are actually the ones being taken out a lot. There we go, he does bring the SCVs up to the front, but will it be enough? That is quite a few roaches, and they do have +2 or +1 attack. GG. So Skyler still working hard for his money. That was a very fun play, very risky. But that's how, that's how it goes. Now, I'm trying to see which map we have not done yet. But you know what, guys? We gotta thank our sponsors for these amazing games. So check them out. Our sponsor today, GameStop. Whether you're just a casual gamer or an esports legend, they have something for everyone. Check them out at our website and see their new initiatives in the StarCraft and other esports scene, and add a little bit of money to the prize pool while you're doing it. So GameStop, power to the players. And speaking of players, we got a couple here looking to be go-go. And here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one more map, and then it resets. Ephemeron. An excellent little map to finish up the 7 maps. And I'm going to be very excited for this one. I know you guys are too. As Skyler still needs to mount a comeback. He may have lost the best of 9, but he still has the chance to earn a little bit of cash, some moolah, as we have 3 games remaining. So spawning up here in the top position, it is Starkiller. And his opponent in the bottom, it is Skyler. Which I gotta say, I really like the name Skyler. It's like that kind of name that you would see on the beach, just like the really chill dude who's just messing with his board, getting ready for the big waves, and then he's like, he goes back to his day job, and he's got some sort of really fun job. He's a pilot or something, and then he just comes down to the beach and he's like, don't need to okay, I lost my train of thought there because it's so chill. It's so chill that I can't even form a thought. But does look like we're gonna see some more standard-ish builds out of our 2 players today, as Skyler will be just throwing down the standard Reaper, and we've got the expansion before pool out of our boy Starkiller. Trying to predict the proxy patterns here, as Skyler has done quite a couple of them in this series, which that, you know, I've really liked. They haven't really worked out for him too much, but still, you know, they're powerful in their own right, and they did put Starkiller on the ropes for quite a long time. Now this Reaper knows that there's no Lings coming across. Actually, look at that. Like 2 ships passing in the night. We got a couple of Lings going to be sneaking on in here. This Reaper's just going to get out with its life for right now. 2 Lings. I think that should be enough here if the SCV can get some damage done. That CC will finish. No problems here for Skyler. Just going to be a bit of a nuisance dealing with this guy. Look at that. He even saves the 2 SCVs. And this does force the Reaper home, by the way, since no units were being created at the time. And, you know, now we do see a couple of Marines and a factory. I'm kind of feeling a Hellbat push. There are a couple of variations of a Hellbat push. You do have some where you pump out a couple of Marines and then switch over. So you have about 5 Hellions to work with. And the Marines add a lot of firepower to that because you will have a couple bit extra. But right now it does look like he's just going to stick with the Marine production here for the time being. So maybe not a Hellbat push, but you know, there's still a lot of time. We have seen that Skyler has loved some sort of some delayed pushes where he just pushes across with a large number of Hellions and a large number of Marines. And actually, it's going to be a proxy fusion core. Double starport as well. Now, this is going to be expensive for him, both gas and mineral-wise. Looks like he is going for as much gas as possible. I don't think Starkiller has seen this, and it does look like Skyler is very scared of him kind of seeing it. But what this will allow him to do is get out as many BCs as possible before his opponent knows what hit him. And Starkiller once again going for a kind of later style here. He's staying on 2 base and only just now going to be going up to his 3rd at roughly the time you would usually see a lair. Though he does like to get that lair a lot earlier than most Zergs you see on the NA ladder. Be throwing down that bunker back as well for the roaches. One fun thing to note about battlecruisers is they don't actually kill roaches all that quickly. It'll be interesting to see what happens here as we got 2 on the way. Yamato will be finishing up here. And it looks like these roaches will be hitting by the time that second battlecruiser actually finishes. Not the best timing out of Starkiller, I have to say, just because of that. Unlikely we will be seeing mech come on out of this, and look at that, the first roach goes down, the second one being focus fired here. Good focus fire from these bunkers, but they do go down, and it looks like the battlecruiser is just going to warp across the map to deal with this. The siege tank already in position. These roaches are effectively going to be trapped here. First queen goes on down. This is entirely blindsided our buddy Starkiller here. As the drones start to fall, this double battlecruiser is going to be very difficult to deal with. It's got a lot of transfused energy, but no time to use it. The roaches just going to hop on top of everything. The tank did go down. Oof. So really what Starkiller needs to do here is wait for the Hydralisks. And no, he's fighting a bit too early with them. He needs to group up if he is going to deal with this, as he is cleaned up in Skyler's natural. Oh, no, no, no. This is not looking good here, as these guys can now hop between the bases here. Starkiller's economy not nowhere near where he would want it to be when he's pumping out Hydralisks, but he does need to get those guys before they get back their teleport. One teleport is about to finish up. Now he will be able to get on out of there. I would recommend doing that soon, as it does have a cooldown before it actually jumps now. Skyler's still very defensive here. He has a very big blind spot right here. Even with the changes to the Nidus, I think it still is a pretty decent choice, especially in these kind of situations where your units aren't that quick right now, and your opponent is just really heavily turtling up in his natural base. Yeah, so far it's just straight BC production. It feels very confident in these BCs, and I don't blame him. The Hydralis production is nowhere near where it must be because he only has 60 workers, so his ability to make them is just so far removed from optimal. He's also not injecting his hatcheries. Really needs to do that. That is one of the most important things right now. Going straight for the infestation pit as well. He's gonna have to get on out of there. This is still a pretty decent position for him to fight in, as you don't really have the ability to get vision there without any overseers. That Hydralis count is starting to get pretty scary here as he goes up to +2 armor as well. These are completely unupgraded BCs. They start to do less damage with each shot. They're starting to fall here, not teleporting them away just yet. Still picking up a little bit of Hydralisks, but unfortunately for him, Star can make 9 more when one falls. That has to be super careful with them. Actually not paying attention here. Just barely does not lose one. So he's down to 2. He needs to teleport this guy away as well, or he is going to get caught. But this pure Hydralisk force is just going to be moving across the map. You still have that siege tank, but this third base is completely exposed here almost. And that will go down very quickly. Marines by themselves, not going to do too much. That siege tank not in position, so another battle cruiser will fall. The reinforcements go to the wrong location, and behind this, Starkiller is just expanding. He's got his 5th base up in the corner, heavily already spotted by that fusion core. Although he hasn't seen the fusion core. Oh my gosh, that is funny. But this does force Skyler once again to just use an extra CC. He was hoping for his 4th base to reposition his 3rd. He has a bit of a bank built up now, but I don't know. You know, Starkiller's starting to get to that very greedy, very aggressive Zerg timing, where he's got 83 workers. He has a lot of room to move around, and he has map control. Skyler's still pumping these BCs, but I don't know if they're going to be quick enough to kind of deal with the expansive growth that we're seeing out of our Zerg player. Yeah, look at that. You can even throw down parasitic bombs to deal with things. That Viper count. It's just you know, a tough situation for him here, especially since he is down 80 supply. If we take a look at that army supply, take a look at that income graph as well. It is just pure hydralisks at this point. He's actually in a position where if these guys start to come in, he can actually sandwich it between two forces. Using a couple of the battle cruisers as well. Getting a couple of good yoinks in there. Only 2 workers going down for 2 battle cruisers. I think that's the trades that he likes. Now, Skyler, did he get a, just sworn I saw him get 2 armories. He must have canceled those, as he did decide to transition into bio. He needs that stim pretty quickly. Luckily for him, it is faster since a few patches ago, but that 4th base, it's not going to be fast enough to save that. Fly away until you die, pretty much, for that. He is building quite a lot of CCs behind all of this, so if he can hold on, he will be decent to get back into it. But unfortunately, the BC's starting to go down. Have to warp away, losing them without cancels. The Siege Tanks need to get into position, and they need to start doing some work here. And starkiller actually just going to back up once they do. A few more good yoinks and he can get quite a bit here of Skyler's army, as he doesn't really have that much in reserve. I'm pretty worried for him. He's holed up in these 3 bases. Losing 8 workers during that attack too. His economy nowhere near where he'd like it to be, and look at that, just gets yoinked in. Battlecruisers going down, and HH is called. Starkiller going up another game in this series. So now the map pool does go back. Trying to pick good one is. I'm just kind of picking them at random here to make it kind of fair to the players, because I don't want to pick a map that is better for one race over the other, and then so I'm just picking them at random. I'm going like this with my mouse. But we still have 2 games, and you know what? We still have 2 sponsor shoutouts to give you guys. So let me tell you about these guys, 24 Hour Fitness, who sponsor this event. 24 Hour Fitness has great facilities with over 400 plus locations in the United States, and they have so many benefits for you guys who are just trying to work off that holiday weight, because I tell you what, I'm gonna try and hit them up right after the Thanksgiving brunch, because I'm gonna need to make a lot of room for that Thanksgiving dinner. So check them out at the link above. Adds 30 cents to the prize pool, I believe, and check them out. I think you still get a 7-day free trial as well with that. So thank you 24 Hour Fitness for your support of esports. Now without further ado, let's hop into it, guys. Spawning in the top position, it's Skyler. And his opponent, once again, going for the very aggressive pool. It's Starkiller. we got those Lings coming on out. And we'll have to see if Skyler can really sniff it out this time, because the last time we were on this map, we saw exactly the same thing. So will he throw down? It does look like yes. That's CC on the high ground. Will he throw it down at all is the question. Yeah, he's just going to throw it down on the high ground. Try and be as safe as possible, although with how fast this is hitting, will he get the supply depots down in time? As he's going to be going for that 2-1-1 once again. Just barely gets it off. Will he be able to last is the big question. Out DPS it? And no, because that one Ling actually got in, he got a much better surround than just 3. And now he will be able to delay that third CC for a little bit and just be a general nuisance. Getting 3 SCVs for his trouble as well. That is a very painful hit this early on for our Terran player. Now he's also seen that it's 2-1-1, so that is a very important scout. Trying to adjust the volume in my ear because those Lings were like hurricanes in them. But it does look like Skyler's going to be keeping up with the plan. The question is, how will Starkiller react to this? A couple of times he's done it. He has gone for that early Mutalisk play, 2-base Muta, and been able to clean up the first waves. One time he was able to finish the game off of it. The second time he did lose to the very aggressive pushing, as we have seen that Skyler has really done a good job of adding in Hellbats to these kind of things. But I gotta say, I think that is one of my favorite things about Skyler. He has utilized those Hellbats in a way that you don't really get to see too often anymore. You know, a lot of the times you just see the early game where you have just a couple of Hellions. You kind of poke around a little bit. Sometimes you'll do a Hellbat push, but not that often. But he's really done a good job of adding it into his core composition and hitting some very solid, very powerful timings with it in this series. Now, once again, we have the Roaches coming on down to defend against this. Skyler, he will be hitting a lot crisper timing here this time, just because he will be going for the straight 2-1-1-2 medevac opening, rather than trying to delay any further with that usual Hellbat stuff I was mentioning. There we go, Starkiller. We'll see it come across the map, however. Roaches still haven't been in production yet, as they are. He went for +1/+1. They will be out in time, however, as he is going straight for the main base. He has caught full wind of this. Gonna get a couple of drones for his troubles here, but gotta be careful with those medevacs. They're still taking a lot of fire from those queens. Losing even one of those medevacs is going to be very painful, and there we go. Means a lot of these Marines will be going down here. It means any follow-up push is just going to be so much less effective. He does get 6 workers, but I don't think that was worth 2 medevacs full of Marines. He's really playing with fire here. And now, the thing is, with these Roaches, there's not a lot back at home to defend. He will have that siege tank popping out. he actually does have another siege tank here, so that is always nice. I don't think he'll get too much done with this, but actually getting a cancel on that +1 attack would be beautiful. Doesn't look like he's gonna get it here. He still has the upgrade advantage, as he will for quite some time, as he already has 2-2 on the way. But behind this, I really like that he's just droning up heavily behind it, not really trying to force the issue here, as the Terran player will have plenty of units to defend. And like I've said before, roaches don't really scale too well here. It's going to be Roach Hydra, it looks like, as we've got the Hydralisk down and pumping them out. Fitting that third base location. A little bit of creep clearing. Good transfuse is going to save one of those roaches, and will force Skyler to back on out of there. Might go straight for the main base, it looks like he is going to be doing that. And I would like to see him kind of just bounce around these bases, kind of force the multitasking out of his opponent. I think a couple of Hydras is just really nice as well. Not going to be too aggressive here, just going to get out at the first sign of trouble. I really like that. Losing the medevac is always painful, as that's pretty expensive, to be honest, especially when you're only on 2 bases, not mining full gas. You can kind of see he's really hurting for that gas income compared to his opponent's Starkiller. But he will be taking that third base. Actually moving out behind this, I really like it when you attack at the same time you expand, because it really keeps the pressure off of you in a huge way. He doesn't even really need to go too far forward with this at all. He just needs to clear up some creep. Maybe kind of just force Starkiller to defend a little bit more. Then he could just back up here, but unfortunately it looks like so far we do see the surround not working in Starkiller's favor. This choke's just way too powerful, and Starkiller takes a terrible engagement with that. This will allow those tanks to move forward, and he smells a little blood in the water. So he's just gonna keep it moving. There's a couple of tanks which does keep the push not at its full potential, but the reinforcements start looking like they're starting to clean things up as well. Good concave at the top here. Going to be whittling down the bio forces, but it does look like Starkiller wanted to, or Skyler rather, wanted to reinforce it, but then decided against it. Smells the blood in the water right now, as he's just gonna go for it. Takes out the third base once again. I don't think third bases are Skyler's forte here, as he's lost every single one he's made in this series. And the siege tanks going down. There's not that much bio left. The Hydralisks, just so much DPS. The SCV's being pulled as well, so any kind of recovery here is going to be very, very difficult. There is just way too much Zerg, and GG is called. Alright. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one more map. Ooh, my hands are shaking. Trying to secretly choose one here. I'm gonna go back to an old classic. I hope you guys are shaking with anticipation as gotta tell you about our last sponsor shout out of the night. Why don't you check out our boys at GameStop? Like I said before, they are always bringing power to the players, and they are doing anything they can to bring that same passion to the esports community. So check out some of their new initiatives, including some top tier coaching from the world's top coaches and esports professionals. So check them out at the link in the chat channel over there. And yeah, GameStop, power to the players. But all right. Talking about what they're gonna buy with their winnings. Got one go-go, two go-go. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The last game of the night on World of Sleepers. I hope you guys are excited for it, as am I. Because we've had quite the night, you know? This has been a very fun series overall. It may seem a little bit one-sided, but I gotta just say, overall, it's just been fun to see a big variation of builds out of both of these guys. That's something we don't really see in this a whole lot. A lot of the times, you see players just do the same builds on every map. And I've just been really enjoying the variation that these guys have bring. Starkiller always does it, but this guy down here has really made a fan out of me, spawning in the bottom position. Skyler. Gotta buy him a pint of milk as well. And up here in the corner, buying him a pint of milk and the most expensive cookie in the world. It's Starkiller. I am so tempted to recommend a cookie place because I know a couple of really delicious cookies, but I won't say it because we're not sponsored by them. But I think you guys know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, just put your favorite cookie place into your mind, and that's who I'm talking about. But anyway, it does look like they're going to be closing things out on a more standard approach here. As Starkiller, no fancy spawning pool timings, and Skyler, no fancy proxies across the map. They just want to end this on a high note, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it. Looks like Starkiller is going to be staying in that gas for quite a bit of time here. Okay, yeah, there we go. He does pull them out, which does mean that he will have more money to expand quicker. Yeah, very fast 3 hatch here from Starkiller. We've seen in previous series, or previous games rather, that he's been a little bit slow to that 3rd hatchery, instead focusing on his tech abilities. So I'm really loving the change up here, as this will give him a very big economic advantage. As the game goes on, and this Reaper going to be coming on in. Scouts out all 3 locations. Behind it, I think that just means he's confident enough to go for that Hellion, knowing that there's not going to be anything like Nidus Worms, like that very fast two-hatch Muta. So overall, he's in a good spot here, especially since he's going to be going once again for that very powerful push that we have seen in the past. Except this time he's on the opposite position of his opponent than in the last time we saw this. As last time, Starkiller, he had a hatchery here, but it wasn't, let's just say it wasn't his natural to take. Couple of quick pickoffs here, as he's going to get one of these Marines. 2 of them do go down. Any kind of small damage is nice for Star. It will delay or just kind of blunt the blow of any kind of push. But you know, we haven't really seen too much of Banelings in these later games. I would kind of like to see him defend with a few more Banelings, but overall I have been liking his kind of aggressive style, picking off the reinforcements and just doing whatever he can to be a complete and utter nuisance. Look at that. It's like the express lane. But he's kind of seeing the number of Marines. He's getting those Evo chambers in a way that he's going to be able to really stay ahead of his opponent in terms of those upgrades, which, if you're going to stick with just pure Ling, is very, very important. Sorry, excuse me. But if you, I'm still kind of interested to see where he's going to go from here. He's still only on a couple of Lings. While he has forced his opponent back, ideally Skyler can really just move out whenever he wants. Because, I mean, look at these guys. Hiding in the corner of the map. He sees that stim is complete here, so now he kind of has alarm bells ringing in his head. He doesn't have a big army right now. Take a look at this. Currently 50 to 17, which means right now he needs to start pumping those Lings as quickly as possible. He's got the Baneling Nest down. We'll have to see how effective he's going to be able to use it, as the Hellions already across the map, and Armory is done. Oh my goodness. Not a lot of time to prepare is Starkiller. He just now sees it because it is on his creep, which is very close to his 3rd base. And at this point, I would say just abandon this position. Get the drones away, do whatever you can. Keep the fight going on creep. The Banelings getting on top of everything here, but it's not enough. But they will spawn right on top of the Hellbats. That's actually pretty nice, although he still does not really have the numbers here to defend against this. Each stim gets him a little bit weaker, but he's right on top of the Banelings, and Starkiller does not really have the numbers to defend this. So once again, it's going to be these Lings, which I think will finally clear it up, but not before losing quite a few drones. And the Hellbats in the back actually taking out so many units. So while he does clean up, he takes heavy, heavy damage. 17 workers going down during all of that. And look at that. Skyler does not want to give him any more time to recover. He knows that if he gives him any time, then Star will just start running away with this game. One big credence to Starkiller is that he has kept this space alive and mining for the duration of that, so he does have some additional income during all of this. The Banelings, though, now have speed. And Skyler actually getting caught up a little bit. They do have combat shields, so it's not going to be as bad. But Star is actually essentially just going to be trying to buy time here while he builds up his forces again. He's got a nice surround in the making, but Skyler has quite a few Hellbats and quite a few units here. I think this is going to be a bit too much. Skyler may have actually done it in this game number 9. As he continues his push to victory, the Banelings doing what they can. He may get cleaned up again, but there is a steady swell of units coming across for Skyler, and Star is starting to run on fumes here. His second base is gone. His upgrades under fire. His Lings barbecued just in time for the holidays. He is struggling really hard to hold on here. The Banelings starting to get taken out without getting any big connections. He's just trying to keep those upgrades alive, but does look like they may just barely finish. Oh my gosh, if he does not get that, oh my gosh, he actually gets the +2. So now his guys are going to be hitting a lot harder during all this, but there's still just so many Hellbats with all of this. The Baneling Nest, I think, actually has gone. No, it has not. It's in the backfield there. You can kind of see that he's starting to take a little bit better here in those hits, but Skyler is just relentless with this push. Star, to his credit, though, is not tapping out just yet. He knows that the second he taps out, it's over. There's always a will, there's always a way. And he is just going to try and hold on for dear life at this point. He's got a little bit of mining over here. He still has something. He's got Burrow, which is always nice. Look at that. That +2 actually starting to clean things up. He may have actually started holding. I may have called it a little bit too quickly here, but the thing is, Skyler still has so much in the production tab, and it's still just pure Ling Bane at this point. If he can get a few more connections like that with the Banelings, then he's gonna be he's gonna be able to finish things off here. But you know, this whole time he hasn't really been hitting his injects, so he's not gonna have a lot of larvae to deal with this. And once again, he has to sack his third base location. Currently down to 20 workers. As back at home, Skyler doesn't even need a third, he feels. He's just got this big, burly force. And he wants to close things out. More Banelings are popping, but the splits are pretty good, not getting the hugest of connections. This is just so scrappy right here. Starkiller holding on for dear life, finally gets the Baneling connections that he needs to stay in this. But the Manavax healing up the Hellbats in the front, and the steam, I feel, is starting to go from the scales. If anything, I think Skyler needs to just back up for a second and regroup with reinforcements bunched up. But maybe not here, as he has hit, as he goes up the ramp. 2 more queens going down. Overlord passing on out. And I don't think there's much else Starkiller can do here, especially if that spawning pool goes down. That is gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. These are the last lings, and this is the last game in Skyler's favor. GG. What a way to end the night. Incredible game, final game right there, showing the power of a 2-base all-in from Terran. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta thank you once again for having me here, and once again, congratulations to the players. Starkiller is your champion, but Skyler, you know, he goes home with a little bit of cheddar himself, and so while I got you guys here, I just want to tell you once again, we got the code in the link up there. So check that out. Adds 50 cents to the prize pool. Adds a little bit more, makes that prize pool a little bit bigger. And other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It has been a blast. You can find me down below. And we will see you at the next big event. Peace, everybody.